Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Anti-bullying guru The Scary Guy is our guest today. The Scary Guy presents in the UK and the USA. He'll be talking about his unique style of helping people eliminate bullying one person at a time.
Scary Guy, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me on, Mark. It's an honor and a privilege.
Oh, I can't thank you enough. So where do I start? I've done, as I told you earlier, many anti-bullying presentations for schools, camps, corporations, and more, but you are on a different level than anyone I've ever met or seen. So what is the very beginning of your story?
Well, you mean, how did I become the Scary Guy? Maybe that's the start. Or do you want to go all the way back to 1953?
We're going to go a little far back. Great question. We're going to go a little further back a little later on, but I would like to know, I guess, when the Scary Guy's story started. Yes.
Well, it all started in Tucson, Arizona, when I had my 3 tattoo shops. And I rode my Harley Davidson to work every day. I had 10 artists working for me. And that's what I thought I would do for the rest of my life, quite frankly, and tattoo people. And I woke up in the morning, I got on my Harley and I rode it to work about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I ran my mouth, and if you didn't laugh at my jokes, you were an idiot. And I mean, that's how I saw it back then. And this was in 1994 when I started my tattoo shops. And in 1996, somebody I don't know, I've never met, in a competitive tattoo business, ran a full-page ad about the Scary Guy. He said, "Are you tired of dealing with scary guys with war paint facial tattoos?" And when I read the ad in the paper that day, I slammed it down on the counter and I thought to myself, why would somebody say such a thing about someone, let alone print it in a newspaper? But the first thought that came to my mind at that time was, what am I going to do to get that guy back? You know, revenge. And I thought, well, I'll jump in my hot rod Lincoln. I'll find out where that guy lives. I'll go over to his house and I'll run over his dog. And if that's not enough, I'll whack off his kneecaps. And I thought, nah, I'm not a violent guy. I'm a good guy. And I started standing up on my pedestal, bragging and gloating about how great I was as a human being. And that's when my life hit me. And I realized really what I was all about and who I was. And I realized I was a name caller, a hater. I could stereotype and categorize people at will. I was really no different than the person that ran the ad in the paper. I thought I was better than him at the time. And I jumped down off my pedestal and I told all my friends, I'm packing my bags. And they said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to travel the world to help people see each other differently from the inside out. And they said, how are you going to do that? And I said, I haven't got a clue. I can tell you one thing, though. I just lived 43 years of my life running my mouth, calling myself a good guy. So I lived a lie for 43 years. And I decided at that time, since he called me the Scary Guy, I was going to take the moniker on, the name, in 1996. So I ran a full-page ad in the same newspaper with my face in the middle. And it said, the tattoo shop, home of the Scary Guy. So I used it. I turned it around in a positive way. And so everybody started calling me Scary and Scary Guy. And then I started getting requests from schools, actually, to talk to the youth about life and what I was doing and why I was the Scary Guy and that kind of thing. And I decided at that time, is it possible to make a change from a name caller and a hater? But I didn't see myself that way. That's just the way I was. And I used humor and sarcasm to mask it all. And I thought, is it possible to change my way of living? So I thought, who would I model myself after? And I started looking back in my life and I thought, well, my dad, he was a name caller and a hater. So he probably wasn't a good role model for me at that time. But then I thought about my mother. And at that time, Mark, I never heard my mom say anything negative or rotten about another human being. And I thought, wow, how did she do that? It's possible to do it. So what I did at that point was I put myself on a 7-day, 7-night challenge. And I thought, I'm only going to go 7 days and 7 nights, because if I can't go 7 days and 7 nights, I'm going to quit and go back to my old ways. And I put myself on a 7-day, 7-night challenge, and I made it up for myself. And it's this: for 7 days and 7 nights, don't say one negative word about another human on the planet. And for 7 days and 7 nights, don't call another person a name other than their own. And I thought, whoa, this is going to be difficult. And I did. I made it 7 days and 7 nights, and I felt completely different about myself and my life. And I decided at that point that I started seeing things in newspapers and television about kids killing each other and suicides and all the hate and the violence going on. And that's kind of what woke me up, was this newspaper ad.
Well, that's unbelievable. I'm thinking about that 7-day thing, 7 nights, and I could easily do that if I didn't leave the house, and and if somebody stole my cell phone. So I'm getting scary hearing half that story, saying, "Boy, this guy's 40 times better than me. I could do 7 hours." So and I consider myself a good person. So that's so interesting and such a powerful beginning. But now I want to go back to even more of the beginning. Let's turn that clock back a bit. What struggles did you have as a young person that, you kind of turned into what you thought was a good person, but what struggles and obstacles did you have as a young person, either with bullying or name calling or negativity in general?
Well, I don't think that back in the 50s, I grew up in the 50s and the 60s. And back in those days, we didn't see things. We didn't know the word bullying. That didn't even exist back then. But teasing was commonplace. Making fun of another human being was commonplace. I suppose today people would call it bullying, but I didn't see it as being bullied. I just saw it as my friends making fun with me and teasing me, and I would do the same back with them. I think my biggest obstacles when I was a child was my father, quite frankly. I have to tell you the truth about my father. He's a product of the World War II, World War II veteran. He was a Navy man in World War II. And his motto, his belief, and he even told us kids, my brother and I, there was only 2 of us growing up at the time, kids were to be seen, not heard. I walked around my dad on eggshells, and he was always very angry, and he never really spoke out loud. So I think even to this day, I have this desire to find a father and get approval from a father figure. I mean, that's just how it is in my heart. I just want an older man in my life, and I've been that way my whole life, just to tell me, hey, it's okay, son. You're a cool dude, and you're a cool guy. And I never really got that from my dad. So I would have to say that was probably the biggest obstacle for me, is wanting love and respect and common courtesy, and a sign from my dad that it was okay to be who I was as a boy. And I don't think I ever got that.
Well, thank you for that transparency, because that's so powerful. I'm amazed as an educator that no matter how old you are, you're still a child at heart. And so many of us do seek the approval of our parents. And of course, when they're gone, you're never going to get it anyway. But
No.
That's so powerful. And speaking now as to what you've become, you've legally changed your name to Scary Guy, but why not change your name to the anti-bullying expert? Why legally change your name to the Scary Guy?
Well, because the guy ran the newspaper ad, and it said, "Are you tired of dealing with scary guys with war paint facial tattoos?" And at the time in Tucson, Arizona, Mark, I was the only guy that tattooed my face. I never once imagined that I'd be traveling the world teaching people about love and acceptance of all people, looking the way I do today. I mean, I would I wish I could say that I planned it this way, but I didn't. And since he gave me the name, I thought, well, okay, well, I'll just turn it around rather than get on his case and call him names. I'll just use the name. And basically, I think it represents my first 43 years. Because quite frankly, the truth is running my mouth, calling people names, stereotyping and categorizing people is a scary guy thing. And that's what I think it truly is, the scary guy. It has nothing to do with my looks. Jokingly, I have people in radio interviews that always see me. Of course, they see me during a radio interview and they say, "Ooh, I'd hate to meet you in a dark alley."
Right.
And I'd say, "Well, what are you doing in a dark alley to begin with?" And then of course, they would laugh about that. But the truth is, my name is about my past behavior. It's not about my looks at all. And today, if you look around the world, of course, maybe you're not tattooed, but a lot of people, I mean, you name it, everybody's got a tattoo. When I walk down the pathways of sidewalks 25 years ago, when I got my first facial tattoo in 1995, people see me coming and they would cross to the other side of the street just not to be around that. And the energy was completely different. Today, people walk up to me and ask me for my autograph and they're going, "Cool tattoos, dude." So, that's what the media and the television and the film has done for people that have tattoos. And I'm not advocating getting tattooed. In fact, I tell teenagers all the time, they say, "How much money did you spend on your tattoos?" I say $30,000. And they go, "Wow." I said, "Yeah, save your money, buy a car, and they're a lot easier to maintain." And of course, they laugh about that. But it's just the way it is. I believe that my past was scary. And I'm not saying that everybody like that. I'm just simply saying that was me. So I took that name on, and that's what it stands for.
You mentioned earlier social media and how it portrays people with tattoos. And you're a big guy too. So big guy with tattoos. And I get that walking across the street. But we both know as people who dealt with anti-bullying that social media has fueled, almost as if it were an emotional steroid, it has fueled bullying with Snapchat, text messaging, and the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Things of that nature. So how do you, for lack of a better term, combat anti-bullying when it's so powerful and so instant, especially among young people?
Well, I don't know that I can really truly combat it. And I told people in the very beginning of my transition, when I changed my name and I changed my life, sold my tattoo shops, and I hit the road, basically. I told them that my goal at that time was to impact or make a difference in one person's life a day. That was it. I always said the total elimination of hate, violence, and prejudice worldwide, but truly it's a one human being at a time effort. It's not an effort that there's no way that I'm going to get to every human being on the planet. But if I can impact one human being, and that person gets it and they carry it forward and they teach their children how to do it different. That's what I'm starting to see today. I'm getting letters from kids. I call them kids, but they're 25, 26 years old. I'm getting letters from those people that saw the programs that I delivered 10, 15, 20 years ago. They're writing me letters now saying, "Thank you so much. You made a huge difference in my life. And now I'm going to teach this to my children." That's how it's going to work. And even the work you do in the schools, as well as I know, you can't get to everybody, even in the ones in the audience. Not every one of them is going to get it right then and there, but they are going to hear it, and it is going to resonate sometime in their life. And if they can bring it forward, then, it's going to replace. Love is more powerful than hate. And it always has been. It hasn't changed. It's not going to change. And as long as you keep putting that out and have a mission like that, it's going to make a difference on this planet.
Absolutely. And I do want to point out some differences I see, and I've seen, and I've presented, and I've seen many presentations over the decades in education. But many programs I've seen focus on stopping the bully. Yours seems to be changing the mindset of the victim. I think your unique philosophy of in the heat of the battle, speaks to this. Am I right?
You're absolutely correct. In fact, I go one step further than that. I say the bully, I'm not about to change the mindset of the bully. There is no such thing as a bully. That's a professional victim.
Mm-hmm.
The bully became a victim of someone else. And that's what I always adhere to. I adhere, even when I deal with people that are aggressive or angry or abusive or whatever, I look at them as somebody that is a professional victim. They've been victimized their whole lives, and this is what they're putting out now to cover the pain and the agony and the hurt that they've lived through their entire lives, which helps me deal with that side of the fence. What I like to do, though, with the victims, too, is empower their minds, meaning, how can I help them not take on what it is they hear? Is it possible to hear another human being and see another human being without becoming what you see and hear? And that's the question I pose to people. Is it possible to hear someone speak and not become what you've heard? So that's what the 7-day, 7-night challenge is about. Are you able, everybody thinks it's about being a good person, because I say, don't call anybody names and don't say anything negative. No, I want to know, what are you doing with what you're hearing? That's a whole different process. If you can figure out what you're going to do with what you're hearing, and you really, really understand that everything that comes from another human being is created by that human and is a direct reflection of them. Nothing you've ever heard or seen is about you, but we've been conditioned to believe what we see and hear, and we take it on as people in a form of energy. And so we take it on and then we react to it. People are taught to be reactionary. So what I do is I try and show them that picture so they can stop reacting to it, figure out who it really belongs to, and then they create a powerful mind. And then you could say anything you want about, look at me. People have labeled me, name called me, and constantly, they still do today. If I didn't use that theory and that concept in my own brain to identify the source of their energy, I probably wouldn't be here today, Mark. I probably would have taken my life a long time ago.
So powerful. And I have to say that if you weren't called the scary guy, if you were called the anti-bullying expert, and I were a principal who hired you, and you came in to speak and you came through the door and you signed in, I wouldn't think, oh, look, the anti-bullying expert just walked in. I would think someone needs to call security. And that's just how we're programmed, to be honest with you. And I just know from education, what it looks like, and there's so much more to the inside, because I'm not trying to hurt your brand. You are absolutely the antithesis of scary. You could be called the hopeful guy because of your philosophy. And I know that you work with not just schools, you work with the military, religious groups, and more. And I found that there are many commonalities when it comes to bullying, regardless of age, religion, or even career. So what commonalities have you found when it comes to bullying? Different age groups, different careers, different walks of life, different categories.
Well, that's a good question. People think that when I deliver my theories and concepts in a training format, that what I do for a 3-year-old, believe it or not, I work with 3-year-olds and their parents all the way on up to 103, whatever their age is, it doesn't matter. Whatever their backgrounds, like you mentioned, and their jobs, that doesn't really matter. Everybody thinks that when I work with a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old, it's a different program than it would be if it was a 33-year-old or a 13-year-old. But the truth is all of this behavior is learned, and it's learned at a very young age, and then it's executed throughout our lives to become reactionary to what we see and hear. So my programs don't change much from age 3 all the way on up through the military and even the police. It's all about how to deal with that energy in a positive way and not become negative and take it on. So they just get it in a different dose. Meaning when I'm working with a 3 or a 5-year-old, I'm not in their face as much. You know, I'm a little more gentle. If I'm working with the police or the military or even teacher training, I might be in their face just a touch more energy. I deliver it a little more hardcore to a 12th grader and 11th grader than I would a 6th grader. So that's really the same concepts, though.
Yeah, I agree, because I found in training that the 43-year-old manager who's a bully at work with the employees is no different than he was when he was a bully at 11, except he's a little bigger and a little more powerful, because now he's got the employees. So now the imbalance of power, that gap has gotten even bigger. So absolutely, it's just a different delivery system. And I always, close when I talk about bullying with this, that teachers witness 1 out of 25 incidents of bullying, where the students witness 24 out of 25. So actually, the young people are the only ones who can make this change. So in closing, I have to thank you for all you do and continue to do, and you have done. And the fact that you've changed lives and will continue to do so is so amazing and powerful, especially, I'll get on my educational soapbox. It starts with the youth and the young. So to the scary guy, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your passion for helping others and bullying, as well as improving themselves. Thank you so much. And to the viewers, I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Scary guy, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for being here.
Right on, Mark.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.